and you want to buy something for 20 rupees and then you are given a 50 rupees, how will change? That part itself is not very clear. Sometimes because of the comprehension, they were never been told that this one letter, if they don't know what is simplify, what is evaluate, what is solve, if they get confused, they start doing all kinds of things because they think they should do some manipulation. They don't understand it is with respect to particular reading understanding. So the understanding of the English part of it is as important as the math part. I think this will go on. This dialogue will go on, but it can be done. I'm a very much of an optimist, and I believe that this pandemic has given us an opportunity to rethink the whole thing and fill in those gaps and restructure it because we cannot go and change all the textbooks and syllabus because it's massive. Whereas we can take that into account and present the same topics differently, focusing on the concepts, reinforcing the concepts, and building on them. And that is what we should do in companies like Kidvento.
Thank you very much, sir. Something that I understood is, I also, echo it is, unless and until we understand the comprehension, it is very difficult to, kind of decipher the entire problem, whether it could be in mathematics or physics or, so that is where the multidisciplinary approach of learning has to be there. You just cannot be, a genius in mathematics and not be able to, read a paragraph to, decipher or deduce the numbers. So, rightly said. Thank you very much. So, Senthil sir, I have another question for you. You have worked doing your service also with a lot of companies and especially startups. And after that also, I know that you have been working with a lot of startups. So, now, what could be the role of startups like us or companies like us, whether it could be startup or large MNCs? I mean, for example, even like companies like HCL and Tata have been coming up with huge, education initiatives. So one problem that we see is, the layers between the urban, semi-urban, rural, metro are too thick that, something that metro gets, which is vital even for a rural area, but it doesn't just traverse through these layers. So, what are the roles of companies like us or companies otherwise also to thin this layer and reach to everybody?
I mean, you have a great role and great capabilities. If somebody could change the whole scenario, it is guys like you. Why I would say that is, not from just mere prediction or my own thought process, but this has been happening for quite some time. So, what I would like you to do as a startup and as bright guys is to really change the way we think about education, change the way we think about break those barriers. You know, so we came through this rigorous process of our education, and I really don't understand that the benefits that one gets from our kind of very regimental kind of education. You were talking about the multidisciplinary ways of teaching children. Even what we see as intelligence is quite very old, archaic. It doesn't suit the modern world. What about emotional intelligence? What about social intelligence? A time like Corona, only children and youngsters who had the skills of handling things could move forward. So we have to really think about what we are trying to develop in our society. We have to understand the holistic part of development of a child. And okay, I'll give you an example. In the last few years, this game called PUBG has caught up. I don't know how much of you are aware about a lot of kids there in this group, so I'm sure they might connect with what I say. It has organically moved into people's hands, rural, urban, anybody, any kid. If you go, you will find them playing PUBG. How did it break that barrier? Playing PUBG is a big skill. It is not something which you can just do it like that. Another example I'll give: TikTok. You know, You will see people shooting videos, editing videos, and doing many things. How did they come to acquire that skill? Who forced them into classes and taught them? A simple aspect of play makes children learn things easier. So, that's why I keep telling this, children are born genius and we break them away into becoming one by putting them into schools. So, the whole point is that when you asked about who's the stakeholder, the more very important stakeholder is the parent. The way parents see education, should be changed. And that is the role of you guys, that you bring in play into all these things and let children relish what they learn and skill themselves. As a society, we have to give that nurturing environment for them where they can grow, where we encourage their skills, where we encourage the natural things. So that is something very important. Like I would, and as government, as a society, I think we should think out of box. uh, for example, I'll give you one example. The best government program in my whole understanding about what governments have done in India and other countries is this program called midday meals.
Yeah.
Earlier, see, look how we were looking at education. We were not having enough enrollment in schools, so the education department was looking at that problem. Another side, there was this health department which is looking at nutrition of children, which was not going up in this country. Another side, the community itself was not valuing education, so another department was looking at those problems. So all departments were looking at these problems from different angles and trying to bring out solutions. And we were trying to bring out solutions for a long time. Nothing worked. Okay. And there comes one smart, you know uneducated politician from Tamil Nadu, who goes to the school and says, okay, let me start feeding the kids in the school. That time, believe me, none of these brilliant brains IAS officers agreed to that idea. They said, what nonsense is this? How would a classroom become a place of eating? It can't be.
Okay.
And Kamraj insisted that it should be cooked there only, because he understood that the idea of cooking hot food and the smell the children get, the environment, see. And then what happened when he started midday meal scheme after all these difficulties? Suddenly enrollment into schools started growing. Suddenly nutrition of the children started becoming wonderfully well. Suddenly community started coming to schools and they wanted to give something to the school, get involved with the school. Look at how a simple solution has solved the problems all the brilliant minds in this country were doing for the last so many years for trying to find out. So that's what I want you guys to do. Think out of box, break those barriers, and only you guys can do that. If one PUBG can go into people's children's hands, Kidvento can also go.
Right, right. Thank you very much, sir. I mean, we need to find the switches of the lights properly. I think the politician that you were mentioning, Kamraj, Mr. Kamraj. So I think he found the right switch and the right light. So I think everybody were just seeing the light, but they never knew what is the switch. So sometimes we don't understand that the switch of the light in this room is somewhere else. So admission is related to nutrition is something that is completely out of the box, and very well said, very well said. Thank you very much for that. So moving to Abhishek, again one of my very close to heart question it is. So see, you've been an artist for a very long time. You've also groomed a lot of artists. So tell us, like, how does art, may it be dance, music, painting, theater, any form of art, how does art specifically contribute to the overall development as an individual? Whether that individual can be anybody, a doctor, engineer, scientist, or anybody, but how does art contribute to the overall personality development or overall individual growth?
Oh, I think in a major way. I think what shapes an artist is his or her discipline towards the entire approach of the art. So I think what art teaches when you're young is, of course, to accept reality, which is a very big thing. In today's times, children accepting reality is a very big thing going forward, because they're generally because every kid, every person has a handheld device for whom access to information is just a click of a button. They all live in their own bubble. I think art breaks that bubble and actually makes people to come together and experience reality, which is diminishing day by day. It actually enhances people to actually shed their inhibitions, come up, say work in groups, work in teams if needed, use their imagination, use their creativity. I mean, even if it is a solo art like painting or a singing or anything as such, it actually revitalizes your mind to actually think and put your brain beyond your thinking imagination. I mean, it treats your entire routine of thinking is actually what you can actually go beyond. Because in art, what happens is that it's always phase wise. So if you achieve phase one, then an artist in you will always force you to go and achieve phase two, and then there is phase three, phase four, and then and that phase is infinity. I mean, there is no artist today, if you actually go and speak to them, they will say that I'm an accomplished complete artist. There is no complete artist as such. So that way, the pursuit to excellence is a constant thing, which is actually missing in academia. Which is pursuit to excellence is something on their own. It's not something that is pushed by a peer pressure or someone like neighbor is taking more marks, so I should actually push my children to take more marks. So not like that. It's an within inbuilt passion to go and pursue that. So I think it establishes that major part very beautifully, and it realizes, it makes people to realize what they are and what they are capable of, what they can do. And somewhere it is actually very important, because it shapes you as a person, basically. I mean, art actually, I feel any art should be made mandatory for every person in this particular country, because going forward, even if you don't take art as a profession, it actually shapes you as a person. For example, if you do theater, you obviously know your public speaking skills. You obviously know how to face audience. If you do music, you know voice modulation. If you do any other folk art, you know the importance of it. You study a lot. There is a lot of research and development that happens to practice a folk art. So a lot of things that are associated with art comes together with you as a person, and you can articulate yourself well. And also the sense of understanding of things gradually increases as compared to a person who is not artistically inclined. He or she can empathize, which is the most important thing going forward. That's the most needed skill. Can actually relate to things better, which is most important things, and also can understand and work in teams better. So even if you grow up as a going forward, I think we are long behind the big joint families and those kind of bigger families going forward. So India as such will reduce into silos. The families will reduce into one child, two child, and those kind of things, and they all start growing in silos, even in the tier 2, tier 3 cities. And with the new electronic devices and all in the hand, it becomes very increasingly difficult for people to go out, expose and express themselves in reality. I think what enables art is to do that, and that's the most important needed skill. And tomorrow, whatever job, whatever profession that you do, if you can't express yourself, if you can't articulate yourself, if you can't be yourself, then what will you do as a professional person? So that remains the lingo there.
Got it. I mean, that's fantastic, because I read this survey, I read this research that artists and the sportsmen, the inclination towards taking a wrong decision in their life, for example, suicides, right, is very less in artists and sportsmen, because they've been always, under the, performing to people, speaking to people, facing the failures. So also, when it comes to discipline, art, being an artist is one key thing. And third thing is also, I will tell you, apart from art and sport, there is nowhere the guru is worshipped that way. The way guru is worshipped in art or sports, the school, it is very different. Today is Guru Purnima, so that is why I'm also mentioning this. Today is Guru Purnima. We are celebrating the Gurus, and art and sports have always, have held Gurus at the topmost stage. Thank you very much, Abhishek, for this. I am going to take a little deviation and opening up to the audience. We have about 120 odd participants right now. So, is there any participant here has any specific question for any specific panelist, or you can ask question and I will direct to any of the panelists. So, is there somebody? I'll just give you another 15 to 30 seconds to ask the question, please. You can unmute. Nikhil, can they unmute themselves?
They can raise hands and I'll be unmuting them.
Yeah, you can raise hands. In the reaction, there is a reaction button there. You can raise hands, and we are unmuting you to ask the question. So I think 2 hands are raised.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Good evening to one and all. Sir, it is a wonderful session. I like this session. But I want to know that how we can manage that the students which cannot be comes under the control. If we conduct the activity, if we should go through art or dance, whatever, at the end they will come back to the same. I have tried at least for 3 months with this. I tried to change their track concentration to the other, but even though after 3 months when we are not present in our absence, they will be behaving in the same way. So how can we control this type of behavior and attitude of the child?
Yeah, madam, before that, can you introduce yourself? What's your name and what do you do, and where are you from?
Sir, I am Bhagya Jyoti, RM Shah Public School, Indi. I am one of the primary coordinator of the school. Since I am working from 10 years as a teacher.
Amazing, amazing. I think Dr. Rangarajan sir can take this question. I mean, to brief that question, madam is asking, like, there are some students who always at a hyperactive level, and whatever they are trying to teach, probably they do not grasp. And how do they handle? How do teachers handle? So I think Rangarajan sir can take this question, since you have worked with teachers.
Actually, it's more of Abhishek's, who nicely talked about how you shape a person, with a passion, etc. But to just begin with, Bhagya, I think I want to say that first and foremost is that I believe, and very strongly believe, each and every child has an individuality. They can definitely contribute if only we try to give them the right environment. And that is the only way we can reap the digital dividend we talk about, the demographic dividend. That dividend would not be, it will be a disaster if we are leaving out 90% of the students in the wrong places and all that. So it's like a social machine. Every screw should fit into the right place, For that, the teachers have a very important role. See, normally, good old days when we were all just students, or my children were students, we used to only think in terms of when they go to the 12th standard or 10+2, whether they go medical or engineering. If those two are not there, then push them into this, like that. But those concepts are slowly disappearing. You have to assess them at a much, much younger age. That assessment is not for ranking them. It's not assessment of learning. It's an assessment for learning. What can they learn? So that we adapt our teaching to meet those requirements and bring out the best in them. So if you do that, as Abhishek sir was talking about, how, for example, suppose you make a drama or something like that, each one of those students have a role to play. You will see that each one has different capabilities and you can bring them out. So you should definitely encourage those activities. How do you marry that or manage it along with your curricular load is a terrific thing, because some of this curricular load is too high, and therefore the teachers do not have enough time to even talk about grading them and setting up the question paper, correcting them and all that. So therefore, that is where, at least at the elementary school level, we definitely need some additional support in terms of maybe a local 10 standard pass, 12 standard pass girls who are otherwise not employed. They could come in and be able to help assistant to the teacher like that. Otherwise, some of these activities-based learning, you can't easily organize it. And that requires extra time. And that is where the problem. But ultimately, this is a wholesome, like we talk about holistic education, in our today's talk thing also. That means it's comprehensive. It addresses the character development. It is not just academics at all. Academics is a very, very, very small part of the whole thing. How you build him up as a good citizen for the country, that part of it is to be done right from the beginning. And the teachers have to definitely play the role. And how do you bring the teachers to it? It's not a simple teacher training part, which you can just give them a 1 month summer program and then the teachers cannot go back and teach differently. They require a hand holding. There should be a mechanism by which whenever they get into a doubt, like whatever you wanted to ask, you should have a mechanism that you ask somebody who is behind you to tell you, oh, this is a problem you face, this is what you should do, without as a volunteer. See, it's very difficult to have a management setup, and this still can be done if there are enough people who are interested in remedying the system.
So let's take another question. I think Bhagya Madam has got the answer. See, it is very important to assess the students for learning, not of learning. We need to understand the capabilities, and that is what is very important. Nikhil, is there anyone else raising the hands?
Shushruth.
Can I go ahead, sir?
Yes, Mr. Sushruth.
My question to I have a question with Mr. Sashi sir. Sir, in fact, I'm a parent and I'm also into a sports. Now, I teach badminton in my housing complex. Now the question I have is, are the parents are really motivated? Because somewhere I feel, it is all about sending the kids to a very known or a renowned private school. Whereas when I wanted to teach a badminton, a professional coaching with no fees, people were not just ready. So how do we change this parents' mindset?
Nikhil, you got to,
So it's a very important question. That is why I said I also would again reiterate that point, that we have to remember that we are working with people, and people behave in a certain way in certain situations, and it differs from society to culture to many things. Now, this idea of not valuing things which are free is a very common theme which runs across the society. So, but if you have to tackle that, I think there are many strategies by which you can tackle that. A simple way of messaging in the right sort of behavior, inciting messages will make them do it. And secondly, I will tell it. People always attract people. When you travel in a bus, suddenly if one person turns his head and sees behind, then you will see the whole bus turning behind. But you need that one person to turn behind and see. That's how group behavior works. So when we do something, even for Sumant and Nikhil, I'm saying this, that we have to understand how behavior functions, for what messages people, how do we message things that people respond. And once it reaches a tipping point, and then it will take over from there. So it's very important that we also message it in the right way. I would have a separate discussion with you, Sushruji, because that's a different, holistic topic as such. But as you rightly pointed out, other panelists also pointing out, the skills don't stop with academics, or it has to move beyond academics and move into areas like health and emotional intelligence and stuff like that.
Yes, that's wonderful. Nikhil, we have someone else raising hand, right? Rohini Timappa. So can we unmute her?
You can go ahead.
Yeah, hi, very good evening to everyone. So I'm Rohini. I work for a school. Even I work as a freelancer for a couple of schools, like taking online classes. And as I was working as a teacher's trainer as well. And more than everything, I'm a mother of two kids, finally. So my particular question, though I am into this field of education since many years, I still don't understand like the curriculums. Like even Kidvento is one of the curriculum right now. Where are we not putting more pressure on kids nowadays? Like, is it really necessary that what we are pressurizing them, and is it that much required for kids to understand or no? What happens is here there are several number of publishers now, and schools chooses according to their requirement. It might be, to be frank, it might be on the discounts what you're giving, it might be on the basis of like the curriculum, how many lessons are there, just to show off like these many lessons we are teaching in English, 20, 25 we are teaching. Is that, do we think, sir, is that so many things can we put into that small kids mind, like small kids there, and can we pressurize them so much? 20 lessons in English, 20 in science, maths. Are we giving fundamentals to them? Or really is it necessary for these kids? Putting so much of pressure. And again, other than that, parents, again, they, parents suffers. Again, go to karate, go to taekwondo, go to singing, swimming, everything we pressurize them. Is that really kids are capable of taking so much of pressure? Or is it right what we in schools and these publishers, what we are doing? Or how should we face this one? Or what are the changes to parents, schools, or this publishers need to do it? Like it is a question as a parent, as a teacher, as a trainer. It's from all of my profession, it is my one of the question. Like, can you please suggest me?
Yeah. So, who can take this question among the panel?
I'm very happy he asked this question. Oh, let sir take. Sir, it's up to you.
Who is answering? Shashi, you can go ahead, and then I will continue. I have something to add to her.
Yeah, I'll just say I'm very happy that you're asking this question. I perfectly agree with you. There's no point in pressurizing and doing this helicopter parenting. Trying to put your kid in everything and pressurizing them. In that way, I even feel happy about this lockdown. These kids are able to show off their schools for some time. So see. It's all about that's why I said the real stakeholder is a parent. Yeah, he or she has to understand. The kid has to enjoy the process of learning. If there is no enjoyment, there is nothing which is going to happen. The kid is capable of doing many things. Let me be very frank, they are much more capable of than adults in learning things. But if they don't enjoy the process, that's of no use to them, and it's of no use to anybody in the society. So I would certainly not agree with pressurizing a kid on all these curriculums and stuff like that. That's my personal opinion. At the same time, I also would feel play is the very important concept as far as a kid is concerned. Anything which mixed with play, the kid can learn and understand very well. I know one of my colleagues who's in the service. She has not sent her kid to school when the child is born. Now I think he's 7 or 8. He has not gone to school. His whole teaching comes from YouTube and other things. You should see the knowledge that he has gained from YouTube and other things. He speaks about astronomy that any scientist will not speak. That kind of knowledge he has gained. The kid is like a magnet. He or she absorbs all the knowledge. But if only it has play in it, if there's no play, there's nothing. I don't agree with this pressurizing business at all.
Got it. Just in the interest of time,
I think sir wanted to add something.
Sorry, Dr. Rangarajan sir,
Just,
please.
I will also make it. I know there is pressure of time. You asked a question how this 25 different things can be put into the mind. Actually, how to do it is not the question at all. Some of them are not even necessary. Just now, Shashidhar also nicely explained that the children, once they start enjoying that, would like to look at it themselves and learn some of the things on their own. They can do that. Because, like I always keep showing them how the Mars, the helicopter was going there, etc. When I show to some children, they get so excited and they learn, they ask more questions about how is the Mars atmosphere and all that. I try to talk to them. But that kind of engagement is possible only if they start, the load should definitely decrease. That's where I talked about 70, 20, 10. The concepts part are not that many at all. And if we focus on that, foundational learning, if it is properly done, built from stage to stage, you can certainly keep the interest alive, make everyone enjoy. Because otherwise, our system is too much towards filtration. You want to rank them, you want to grade them. If you get away from there, you make everyone at least understand the concepts part. Don't overload them with the homework, because most teachers think it's much easier task. Instead of 5 problems, you give 10 problems. Instead of the 5 easy problems, you give 5 very complicated problems. By keeping a problem very complicated, they don't learn it any better. If you don't know to solve 2x equal to 10, you never would know an equation which is very complex and you have to manipulate and all that. So I think that's what we should do. On the whole, we should try to reduce the load considerably and make them enjoy what they are learning. Give them lots of resources which are presently available. Content is never an issue. So just they can't search on their own. So you can give them the right video, the parent or the teacher will help them say that you go through this, a gamified version of this will help. Because otherwise those companies also are out to take a great this thing out of that, saying that we are gamified. Say they get addicted to that game and they never learn the concept. So you have to put the right balance there.
Yes, yes. So Nikhil, we'll take another question. Last 2 questions we'll take, and then we'll conclude the session.
Yes, I am Suchitra. I am a parent of 3 kids, and I also am an engineer. So I gave up my engineering I gave up my job as an engineer to work with my children, or actually understand what is children. What is it that is required to work with them, or how to empower them. So my kids have been in and out of homeschooling. Whenever they wish, they would go in for homeschooling, and so they would work. So for example, like my older child, I've noticed that she loved to work with her hands. So she picked up sewing. So she would sew bags. So every year that she would sew a new bag and some things. And she was very good at art. I gave her exposure through traveling or meeting different groups who are doing different things. And again, she quit school at in the 8th grade.
Can you, in the interest of time, can you jump to the question faster, please?
Yeah. So basically, what I'm trying to say is all this is good, like all play, and you allow them for all the other skills and all the pickup. But then when it comes to them as a career, these don't help. You have to still look at how do you fit them into the present education system. See, they can clear all the exams very easily, and that is because I come from a technical background. I know that how to clear the exams. The important thing about getting certificates is what gives you a job tomorrow. Also, making them understand a concept or getting them to do something it's not a difficult task. It's a very easy task. But then what do they do with all the skills that they have picked up? How do they fit into the society? How do they fit in to do something? Other than I don't see anything other than they can be an entrepreneur. So yeah, I'm just understand that.
Got it. So I think we have the right person to answer, Mr. Abhishek. This question is custom made for you.
See, ma'am, I believe, I totally understand that we are still a certificate-oriented country. I think we value our degree certificates more than anything else. See, it's a change. And there is already a change between you and your children. You studied engineering and your children is already doing homeschool. Don't you think that's a drastic change that has happened between your generation and today's generation, which is happening in your own home? Actually, the change itself in terms of not having certificate and then becoming becoming self-sufficient is coming through, and it is coming through at its own pace. And for a country with about 130 crores, it comes with its own pace. There are issues with it, with I definitely agree with you. But definitely not that if today your children learn sewing, it's not that they have to end up only being an entrepreneur. There are different platforms where they can actually use this particular skill. For example, they can actually work as a freelance designer for many of art based or any of the art entrepreneur companies that are already there. She or he is not an entrepreneur there, but he's already working with that sewing experience, and companies are hiring with that particular skill too. For example, 90% of people who work with me are engineers, but they just have a practical knowledge of theater or film writing that they have. They have a degree certificate that is completely different, and they don't even work there, and they are still earning, and they are still surviving, and they're still sustaining in this particular society. So there are definitely platforms. There are newer platforms that are being created, newer platforms that are being opened up. And it's only a matter of time that we move on from a certificated oriented society to a skill oriented society. The change is happening. Just that the change is little slow, we feel a little anxious, but definitely I think coming in future, I think the changes probably will take a drastical step, and definitely there are new avenues that are opening up for sure.
Yeah, adding to what Abhishek is saying, Madam, see, it is not just being entrepreneur. See, career. See, there is a Dell Foundation's research that has been done. Madam, is there still? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Dell Foundation has made a research, and it was established earlier this year. More than 85% of the jobs that are going to be there in 2030 have not been invented yet. So that means all that we are trying to teach them through mathematics or English or science and marks and ranks and everything may become completely irrelevant by 2030. That is when probably your kids also probably go to job seeking level. So it is the truth. It is not me, Suman, saying it is a pure research data which is saying more than 85% of the jobs that are going to be there in next decade are not invented yet. So let's not worry about see, it is better if our kids learn so many multidisciplinary things so that they are ready for any battle that comes.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, we are handicapped for future. So let's not be handicapped for future. So this is what we have to propagate to everyone. So, right, we have taken exact 1 hour on our discussion and 1 hour 15 minutes for the total event. So now I would like to conclude. Yes, I have taken a deviation in mid to ensure that audience get a chance to interact with our panelists. Though I had a couple of more questions for our panelists, I kind of will stop there because our audience had to get a chance, because these they have invested their time and they're being here, right? So now, as a part of conclusion, so I would love all our panelists to speak for 1 minute of your concluding remarks on the topic of the need for holistic skilling at an early age. Just please take just 1 minute to quickly summarize or give your concluding remarks. So let's start with Abhishek, probably.
Yeah. So thanks a lot. I mean, this is a wonderful platform, and I'm glad that we are even discussing about this particular aspect. Holistic skill development, as both the sirs told, is the future. And just now, as you made the point that we need to be prepared ourselves for any battle that is coming in the future months. So I think that is where I actually see this and fit this, that holistic skill development actually enables children to learn multiple disciplines, multiple skills, and be ready for any challenges that actually will come in the future course of time. So that way it actually enables you more appropriately, and actually and this is already a proven concept, and a concept that is adopted in the West and other regions of this particular world. So
yes,
it will actually put in pace with other children. So it's just not textbook. It's beyond textbook is what we need to see.
Thank you, Abhishek. Thank you very much, Dr. Rangarajan sir. You were concluding remarks on the topic in brief.
I mean, we have talked very well, and it's nice. And you summarized it very well as to how in 2030 None of these regular kind of curricular learning would help as much as learning a variety of things and broad basing ourselves, critical thinking skills towards solving real world problems. Anything, it can be because of the COVID, there are some new realities. How you are going to address them. All those things are going to be very important. Those are the things that you really learn. Great panelists have been there, a very good session, good interaction with the participants. It is a very nice initiative. It is started on 24/7, 24 July, and it's going to be available 24/7 to the people who are going to subscribe. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Finally, Shashikant sir, your concluding remarks on the topic, need for holistic skilling at an early age.
I mean, there cannot be two ways of looking at it, but I'm more focused on the from the children's perspective. If we can make their lives better and not torture them with our load, I'll be very happy. Anything which will help them become better people. The coming days are going to be challenging, not only from an economic perspective, but also from a social and an environmental perspective. I think we have not even started teaching, or at least exposing our children to environment and its issues. These are areas which are very crucial for the coming days, and that is why I think more than thinking about children, we should think about our view about education and our view about skilling. And like Madam said, there are many people who try to do that and then later find that and have this fear that my kid will not be doing better in life than the other kids, and again go back and do all this mix. But if you can develop a kid who is emotionally intelligent and who has this adaptability skills, I think that's what you can give them. That's the best education that you can give them. So I think there are a lot of perspective changes which requires, and who best than people like you who can think out of the box and take a call and move forward in those areas. All the very best, and all the very best, everybody.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. In fact, rightly summarizing, it is also not just the receiver, also the creator has to think out of the box in terms of understanding the perspective of the holistic education. Right. So through this, we are at the end of our event. Thank you very much for an amazing panel that has accepted our request to be here. And Rangarajan sir, it is 5 a.m. in the morning that you are with us. You are in the Pacific Coast, US, and I mean Sasikant sir from Chennai and Abhishek from Bangalore. So it's a wide diversity of knowledge that we could today probably grasp, and also my heart goes out, my sincere congratulations and thanks to all the parents and the students and the academicians, teachers who made their Saturday evening available for this event, so that you can grasp the knowledge from the eminent panel here. So thanks everyone. Again, thanks to the team at Kidvento for making this happen, supporting everything from back end. See, this is me who is just as the face of the company, but there are more than 70 people who are working in the background, who are always supporting Kidvento to do such wonderful things. Once again, thanks to our panel, Dr. Rangarajan sir, Shashikant Senthil sir, and Abhishek Iyengar. Thanks for being here. We definitely need your wishes, blessings, and definitely suggestions and advices going forward. Also, we have a huge mission that we have kept for us. We are aiming at skilling 1 million in next 2 years, 1 million kids. So that's a daunting task that we have taken up, and we need all of your blessing, support, and advices in achieving this feat. Thank you very much for being here and taking out your time.